When Dan Urshan was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the year 2000, he fought back with a daily exercise and nutrition program that eventually took him to the finish line of an Ironman triathlon. It's a story without medical explanation. But that isn't this story. This is the story of what came next. And it starts right here in this room. He didn't know it then, but Dan was on the cutting edge of a change in the accepted science on MS and exercise. But he knew his progress had to be shared with others. So, in 2013, he built a gym in the front room of his company's warehouse and opened the doors to MS patients in the community. They came slowly. In 6 months, there were 7. In a year, maybe 12. And then there were 15. Then 25. And then 40. From as far away as Madison. Eventually, the gym outgrew the front room and expanded to the warehouse floor. The workout equipment, mostly donated, was diversified for more advanced disabilities. Volunteers came to provide invaluable assistance. Dan found nutritionists to teach better dietary choices. A massage therapist was employed to help relieve muscle tension and fatigue. And the gym filed for nonprofit status and got a new name to reflect its mission. MS, Just Keep Moving. Today, we're celebrating a major step forward and occupying more than half of the planet. With this kind of opportunity, people are trying and achieving things they had given up on long ago. Climbing, standing, walking, pedaling, indoor triathlons. Yes, triathlons at Westwood Fitness. Swimming, biking, and running or walking against the clock. In the summertime, Fridays began with 7 a.m. bike rides in and around Pewaukee Lake. Some rode for the first time in 20 or more years on every kind of adaptive bike yet devised. Some have joined the MS Best Damn Bike Tour and covered 50, 100, or 150 miles in a weekend, farther than they ever dreamed before they were disabled. And when the holidays come around, there's no shortage of celebration and fun. You know, MS research has brought us medical breakthroughs that have functionally changed the lives of thousands. And we all hope that one day soon it brings us a cure. But sitting and waiting for it only accelerates the decline that MS has started. This gym offers a chance to make the most of what we have, to fight alongside others against a common foe. A chance to do the thing that we need most. It's a chance to just keep moving.
This group looked like last year, then look around. We've grown. There's more to work with. And it's a remarkable, remarkable thing that's going on. I'm honored to be able to talk with you again this afternoon about MS Just Keep Moving and what it means to those of us who this year are up front and people who support them. We're still doing things. We're still working together. We're still smiling. And that's a very, very good thing. One thing that's different this year, and that is that our captain and head cheerleader has a mic. Uh-oh. With the mic, he has the ability. So what I'd like for you to think of is when you watch ball games on TV and there's this commentator, this color commentator, okay, that's another role he's playing today. So Dan, tell us a little bit about what's on your heart as this whole thing starts this afternoon.
Most people know my story, so I'll try to keep it short. But I have MS, and I've had it for 21 years diagnosed, technically 31 years, because I had my first MS attack 31 years ago. That one I couldn't necessarily feed myself for quite a while. I couldn't walk. I couldn't really do a whole lot of anything. And I ended up getting through that one, and then 10 years later I had another MS attack. And then that one I ended up not being able to walk for like a year and a half. And then I I got a letter from my aunt who was a nun in Colorado, and with a newspaper clipping saying that there's a lady in Colorado that started making progress by exercising with MS. So I said to my wife, well, we really haven't tried that part yet, and I don't know what I can do, which at first I couldn't do very much at all. I could stretch and I could get on an elliptical machine as long as I had something to hold on to, but 4 or 5 minutes I would basically just collapse. So then I just stretch a little bit more and go home, and the next day I would come back and do it again. So I kept going back every single day, and in about 4 months I went from 4 or 5 minutes to about 30 to 45 minutes. And that's the very first progress that I had made with MS, and that part of it was kind of the start of doing a little bit more. And I ended up at Westwood Health and Fitness Center. I ended up getting with a running group who basically had no mercy. So they kind of kept egging me along, just like we egg people along here. And they ended up talking me into running a marathon. Then once I finally started walking and running again, so I ran a marathon, and that wasn't enough. So I ran six marathons, and then they started doing these things called Ironman triathlons. And the Ironman triathlon was basically I like to say this, so you're going to have to listen to it, a 2.4 mile swim, then a 112 mile bike ride, and then after that, a 26.2 mile marathon, and all in the same day. So again, from going from where I was to being able to do that. I didn't tell you yet, but I didn't finish the first one. It took me a couple of tries. But anyway, I ended up finishing 3 out of the 4 that I did try. During that process of exercising to the level that you can actually do an Ironman triathlon, there's a group of people at Westwood Health and Fitness that says, let's try to get some people together and do an indoor triathlon. And they wanted their vision was to get some people with MS and kind of maybe mimic a little bit of the story that we have, and that actually happened. And I see Mary Jo back there, so Mary Jo, if you can raise your hand. And Lowell and Jerry volunteers here. Lowell and Jerry are actually doing a run today. They're going to try to get back here later. Hopefully they'll be back by the end of the run. They're running in Lake Mills, apparently in the rain. But anyway, they all inspired me to big levels. So first indoor triathlon, we had like 10 people and a 10-week training period of 1 day a week was all. And during that 10-day training, 10-week training period, every single person with MS made progress. So it's not just me that can do that. And then we ended up having a good time. All our family and stuff like that came to the indoor triathlon, and then it was done. So there wasn't another event basically scheduled for people with MS on the schedule. So during that next year, then that's when we gutted that room in there. We took the offices and stuff out of that, and we basically worked up to the second year of the indoor triathlon, and then everybody still came together, and we had actually more people at the second indoor triathlon. And then after that, instead of it being done, it was really the beginning of people coming here and starting to exercise. And it'll be 10 years in April since we started coming here. So we've been doing this for quite a while. So during that journey, it really was important to me that I feel like this was a gift given to me to get my mobility back at this level. So I want to share it with other people with MS, and that's really pretty much what we've been doing since then is sharing. And I think as we continue to go forward, we want to continue to share. And you're going to hear some stories today of people who've made some progress. I think you're going to hear you're going to hear some comments basically of, you know, when people, we're going to play a video. And I'll give you a little heads up on what's in the video. We asked a certain, you know, a few people here. We couldn't interview all of them, or we'd have comments from all of them about the same way. But we asked them, what was it like before you came to MS, or before you came to MS Just Keep Moving, or when you started coming to MS Just Keep Moving, what was it like? They answered that. How did you feel after you've been here for a while? They answered that. You know, and then what can you say to people who make this possible? And they answered that. So we'll see that in a video coming up. But I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up on that. And from there, I'm kind of tired of talking, so I'm going to give it a
Okay, thank you, Jeff. I hope you picked up a book when you came in, one of the booklets. There's a lot of detail here. There are reminders, there's philosophy of, there's encouragement. We want to pause just a moment today to remember those who have participated here and have gone on. We have pictures of them. This is a picture of the wall over here. They are also pictured in the back of your book. This rings true. My wife has MS, and when she was diagnosed, the doctor, one of the first things he said was, "This isn't going to kill you, but you will die with it." And that's kind of the way we live. We just go, and it's part of how things go. So if you knew some of these folks, let your thoughts go there. Remember their courage, remember their optimism, okay?
And remember their smiles.
Oh, yes.
They brought a lot of joy to this place.
Last year, we told you 6 stories of people who have MS and are dealing with it. The things that they're doing, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. We're not going to rehearse all of those. I made you cry with a letter I wrote to MS, like it was a person. Todd was one of those, and Todd rides and rides.
Stand up, Todd.
Todd is right here. If you rode the golf cart in today, he was probably driving back. Todd's bike is a remarkable, well, I have several of them, but I want you to look at this right-hand column. This is 2022. He keeps track of his mileage. 3,250 miles so far this year. Does that include the Friday rides? No, okay. Those are races, and he also rides with us on Fridays. But anyway, when we say just keep moving, Todd takes it seriously. All right?
Todd, what type of MS do you have?
Primary progressive.
Primary progressive MS.
Okay.
That amazing?
It is. It is indeed.
So one thing that I want to say about Todd is, you know, these are miles, but you can see that, you know, every month he's got substantial miles in there. He actually traveled, you know, quite a bit around the country this last year and found better weather to ride in than we have here in the wintertime.
That's right.
So, yeah. And we also had one time where we had a 100-mile bike ride planned up in northern Wisconsin. And when, 10 days before the bike ride, Todd has an accident. He's going down around a corner, and somebody was in his way, so he took it a little bit wide instead of hitting the person. And then he ended up hitting a mailbox, and can I say it, Todd? He peeled his nose right off. and 2 surgeries later, they did put it back on. They actually did a good job. and literally 2 surgeries later, was it 3 days after the last surgery? 3 days after the last surgery, he still had a little bleeding going on and stuff like that. And we had this 100-mile bike ride. And it basically came down to the day before. It's like, Todd, are you riding or not riding? Well, he was saying it all along. He's riding. And we had a doctor with us. Right, Reiner? Yeah. We had a doctor with us, so I was a little more comfortable. But Todd actually came and joined us, and he rode 100 miles 3 days after that surgery. So a little bit of determination there, a little bit of resilience with primary progressive MS.
Dr. Becky Thomas and her students, those are several of them with my wife Brenda, saw us starting to work out years ago, and she looked me in the eye and she said, "Write down your progress every day. Because if you do that, you'll be able, when she's having a bad day, you'll know it's an outlier, and you'll also be able to chart your progress. So when Brenda rides this side fit, for example, there are a couple of them sitting here, she usually is across from Kelly, and they're chit-chatting as they ride and ride. And my big job is to write down the numbers. It's extremely difficult. It's 2 calories per event. But I want you to see over time, this is the last year and a half, and those of you who haven't been charting, this is an encouragement to you. That top one is how many rounds per minute, the speed with which she's riding. The next one down is about how long she's riding in minutes, but I want you to notice that big green one. That's the resistance. Over a year and a half, steady incline, up it comes. So even when there's an outlier, a low day when I just can't ride very long, we know it's an outlier, but I like this progress on that green line.
So everybody's wondering, who's Brenda? Who's Brenda? Brenda, let us know where you're at.
Right here. Okay, I'm gonna show you 3 pictures, snapshots, and I know you're a long ways away. See if you can find something that's missing in that picture that is probably part of most every other gym that you would go to. Anybody got a guess? I'll take 2 or 3. What's missing in here? It's too far away to see. I'll tell you, earbuds. Most of the time when you go work out, you see earbuds everywhere, don't you? They're running like crazy on the treadmill, or they're working out, they're working up a sweat. They're usually not here. I mean, a few people wear them now and then, but people come here to work out and to visit. The sense of community here is so strong. Conversation is good. We joke, we laugh, we tease, we ask each other, how are you? I mean, how are you really? And that is a good thing in this environment. So if you come someday and nobody's wearing earbuds, don't be surprised. That's just the way it goes. There are some things that we are currently providing here, and this is in your booklet, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about them. I'm just going to click through them so that you see. Wednesdays and Fridays is open gym here. The volunteers arrive at 9, and are here until about noon. If you're willing and able to work without a volunteer help, you might come in a little bit early, but that's 2 days a week. Massages take place back over here, Thai massage, Reiki. On Wednesdays, in this room, it's an 11 o'clock prayer meeting. The spirituality is not something that you see the minute you walk in the door here, but if you look for it, it's there. We don't shirk it, we don't apologize for it. It's part of how many of us, it's where we go for strength, and so we incorporate that. That meets on Wednesdays. On the first and third Fridays, we meet in that space for half an hour. People who are caregivers, we are fully staffed during that half hour out here, so we can leave our loved one with MS in the hands of volunteers. The caregivers go here and talk straight up for 30 minutes. And sometimes it's something funny that happens, sometimes it's a question. I'm dealing with this, I don't know what to do with this. It's open season, but it's for caregivers, and that's an invaluable time. During the summer and the fall are the Friday bike rides, bike and trike rides. There's nutrition training going on, there's music therapy. We've had, 2 of those sessions, I think that's a fairly recent addition. Dance classes. With the addition of this equipment, guess what? They're moving out here, I'm sure, okay? And we're gonna do that out here. Chair yoga, you might have seen some pictures as things go by. We're always adding because we want to reach people, give them opportunities, give them new experiences. This is what we've added this year. We added 2 new e-trikes. Those were on our wish list. And they are here, and they have been used, and they have been proven. We've even broken one, and it's been fixed, all right? We're that way. The newbie that we talked to you last year about is here. It's back in that zone. That's the electronic stimulation of muscles. Our volunteer crew has increased this year. We began the caregiving group. The golf outing, the first ever with ePlatinum Health. Where is Rick and company, those of you who were involved in that, raise your hands. This was a remarkable thing. MS Just Keep Moving was the beneficiary of that outing. And was it $30,000, $31,000?
$31,000.
So appreciative. And there's another one in the works, we understand. So,
Next June, sign up already.
what's that?
It'll be next June again.
Next June again. All right, good, thank you. Glass cutting was offered, and some of you saw those if you're in the Facebook group. The equipment additions that some of you had to walk around today that you didn't before. This system that we're using today was paid for with money that was given to us. We intend to use it for the workout music while it's going on. It will push you up against the wall. If you pull into the parking lot late and it's rolling, you can tell outside that there are people inside working up a sweat. All right, videos, workshops, all kinds of things. We're going to use this all year long, and it's going to be good.
The educational part of it is going to be
Yes.
a lot more easy to communicate now and get people involved, and you'll actually hear a little bit real soon about one of the guys that's going to help us from the Mayo Clinic.
Yes, in fact, Tom Holtakers is the guy. Tom and his wife lived in the area for a while. He was from the Minneapolis, or not Minneapolis, Mayo Clinic area, Rochester, thank you. I'm over 60. Rochester, Minnesota area. They were here for a while, came in touch with us, and then they moved back so that he could be near treatment. He was a physical therapist that worked with MS patients. He himself has MS, a man of faith, a giving soul, and he is from his rehab room near Mayo, sent in a message for us, okay? Now I need to warn you ahead of time, his voice is a little weaker than usual. He's a very intellectual guy, so he uses 3-syllable and 4-syllable words, all right? So shush your neighbor and tune in. This is Tom's message for us today.
My name is Tom Holtakers, and I'm a volunteer here at the MS Just Keep Moving group. The purpose of the group is to provide those of us with MS and our caregivers with tools to help manage the complexity of living with MS. To promote this philosophy, the group is willing to develop an educational resource library to help you design your personalized self-management through recorded Zoom presentations, written materials, and other media resources. But in addition, facilitator-led discussion groups and one-on-one mentoring sessions. To help facilitate this endeavor, I would like to share my personal reflections of living with MS for over 50 years, in addition to my 45-year experience as treating patients as a physical therapist, and my 40-plus years of dealing with or exchanging ideas with fellow travelers through the National MS Society. One expression of the group's philosophy is the day of the day of endurance during the 2023 Labor Day weekend, in which we hope you will be able to participate in your own way. The resource library materials will be available to help you achieve your goal. To begin with, we can help achieve that goal today by helping you decide a realistic goal that you could reach within 10 months, and then begin training for that goal or developing the resources for that goal now. Important thing, don't hesitate, don't procrastinate. Begin slowly by taking baby steps toward your goal, and then gradually, slowly grow those baby steps into bigger steps and so on. Keep in mind that persistence, perseverance, and determination will rule the day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you, and my way of serving you is to act as a resource individually and collectively, you might say. So you can contact me through my MS, or my email address and my phone number, which will be available through Dan. So again, thank you for the opportunity to serve you.
So since Tom segued into the Day of Endurance, Phil, is it okay if I talk about that a little bit?
You bet.
Yep. All right, so this is a new concept. I don't think it's probably been done anywhere with people with MS. And again, it's kind of maybe a spin-off of my Ironman journey, my Ironman experience, my training during it. So what we're going to do with the people here, with the people, MS Just Keep Moving family, and it's going to be very inclusive, but it's also going to be, it's not open to the public. You know, so friends and family, people with MS, what we're going to end up doing is set aside a day, which is going to be August 26th, the weekend before Labor Day weekend, on Saturday next year. And what we really want to do is enjoy the journey of getting there. And then, like Phil showed you with Brenda, we want to track some of that progress that people make. So let's just use for an example, if you can, walk a mile today, maybe your goal is going to be to walk 20 miles that day. If you can ride a bike 50 miles in a day, maybe your goal is going to be to do 90 or 100 miles in that day. If you can't do anything and you're basically stuck to a wheelchair, we're going to figure out a way to engage you in that day as well, which is one of the things that we want to do some fundraising for. Is there's actually called a grit chair that's out there that we can actually tie people's hands onto if they can't hold on to it, and then they can move their arms and they don't have to let loose of it to push a wheelchair. So we're going to again try to get people moving however they can move and go however far they can go. And we want to do it in a triathlon method basically. And the swim part of it will be in a local lake here in Lake Country area. The bike part will not be a way out in the country type of a thing. It'll be more of a 20-mile, 25-mile loop, and then we'll do it as far as we can do it. And then the bike or the walk, the marathon part of it would be a walk, run, wheelchair, see how far you can go in a wheelchair, whatever part of moving you can do to that. And we are going to need a lot of volunteers for that, provided we get this group here to engage in it, but I'm pretty sure they will. Yeah, they'll have a lot of encouragement to participate in it during the day. So, Todd, I'm going to make your goal public, okay? This will help hold him to it. So, Todd is going to try to do a full Ironman distance triathlon. So, and I know I'm a long ways away from being able to do an Ironman again, but I'm going to try to join Todd and see what I can do and see how far I can go. And again, we'll see how it goes. We're not making promises, but the nice thing about it is we do not have a cutoff at midnight like the rest of the Ironman triathlons do. So if it takes a little longer, it might take a little longer, but we'll see what we can do. But anyway, if we can get people to engage in that, I think that's going to be a fun day. And the MS bike ride is one that leads right into that. So it's like 3-4 weeks ahead of time. So if you're going to do the MS bike ride and you ride 50 or 75 miles, guess what? That's good training. So we'll try to be as inclusive as we can and try to get people as engaged as we can, and we'll go from there.
Alrighty. Last year we made the point that MS brings loss into the families that it affects, and that loss is real. And we tugged on your heartstrings just a little bit. Today we want to make the point that MS is more than nerves and muscles. When you talk to people who don't know much about it, that's a preconception that they have. Oh, it's a nerve and muscle. No, it affects all of you. Am I right? All of you. It affects your brain, it affects internal organs, it affects your disposition, it affects all kinds of things. So we have 4 pictures up here of people that kind of illustrate that, and I'm not going to divulge a whole lot of details, but Al, over here on the left, would you wave, Al, or if you're feeling stand up, I guess it would be okay. Al is one of our enthusiastic, super cheerful bike riders. That's him at the front of the train over there. And I asked him this last week, I said, is there anything special about that? And his smile brightened and he goes, when I'm on that bike, and I'm feeling 15-mile-an-hour breezes because I'm going down a hill and it's a beautiful day. It's like going back 20 years. No, it's like going back to high school when I was on my bike, okay? But when you're 80, 20 years is plenty, okay?
How old are you, Al? 80.
80 now. But it's one of those things when there's something in your life that is...
Hey, hey! Is there a wall in the house? I'm gonna sue these guys. No, we got the doctor, but no lawyer.
If you want to know about how these bikes work and the advantages of getting out and riding once a week, just find Al and ask him 1 or 2 questions, and you're good for 10 minutes. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But he also said very quietly, and when I'm not riding, I can feel it. It affects me. And that's part of what the MS does to you. It affects your whole body. Adam is here. Adam is sitting over here. We had a lot of fun last year. But Adam will also guarantee you...
Oh, there you
Yes, AAA. And his wife Sarah will tell you, this disease messes with your brain. It puts you in a place where you're uncomfortable and you have to fight your way back into what everybody else calls normal. One of the things that they enjoy is coming here because, you can nod if I'm right, we put our game face on to come to the gym. Sometimes it happens between the car and the parking lot, sometimes it happens at home before we get in the car, but it's not that we're being phony, it's that we are rising up to what we know we want to be, and we have help when we're here. MS is not just a nerves and muscles disease, it affects all of you. It affects internal organs, it affects all sorts of things. Nancy is here. Here she is, right here. Wave to us, Nancy. Okay? And Nancy's sister is back here. She's in the caregivers support group. And as we've heard about some of the things that go on, MS introduces challenges into the very way you live. Things that you used to be able to do for yourself, you can't anymore, and your dependency on others to help you, or your willingness to say, I guess I'm not going to do that anymore, affects you. It's not just a nerves and muscles kind of a disease. They're overcomers, both of those ladies, and I'm proud of them for that. But that's, and Rick is here. Here we go. Rick is one of those guys who finds a way to do what's next, to do the right thing, but MS will mess with your mood, your demeanor. It has a way of pulling you down and you just have to fight for it. But when there's a victory, when there's a win, you feel like a warrior that won something big. And you're going to hear his concepts in a little bit with a song we're going to debut. But MS is more than nerves and muscles, am I right, team? It messes with all of you. I almost put messes up there, but affects was more appropriate.
It affects the entire family and your friends circle and life overall. There's nothing that really escapes it.
These are just 4 examples of the warriors that you're sitting amongst. All right? Joel is here. Joel's going to sing just a little bit, but Joel has a wonderful story about how life was and how life is now. I want to steal Dan's mic for just a little bit second. My question is, this has been quite the year for you, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Tell us a little bit about what 22 is different. I'm thinking of the Boy Scout story that you shared with a few folks.
Okay, so my Boy Scout story is this. That really got started with the, where that started was 2017. So I went on a Boy Scout event with my son, and as part of that event, there was a 5-mile hike that they did, just through the woods and stuff like that. I was planning on going with him. It was a beautiful day. It wasn't, like it's been the last couple of weeks here. I couldn't make it any further than like 1 mile out of the 5 miles. My legs just wouldn't do it. And it was an attack that I was having at that time. And so it caused my doctor at the time to like change my medication. It's like, well, you might be going into a different phase of things and all that. And I was down for quite a while because of that. And it was around that same time that I discovered this group and this gym. And between the exercise and the camaraderie and the encouragement and the giving me trouble, it all contributes to help and me feeling better. So this year, I honestly am feeling better than I ever have since the whole diagnosis, and I was diagnosed in 92. So it's been a long time, and my case has been mercifully pretty mild in the grand scheme of things. But this year I have been, this is the going on college tour visits with my son. And so we're traveling and we're walking across campuses, and I'm thinking, oh man, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And I've done them all. And I've been able to just walk the entire campus. By the end of it, I'm exhausted, but I can do it. And we even went up to, one of them was over in New York, and in addition to the college tour thing, we took a trip to Montreal. And I don't know how many of you have been to Montreal. Go, it's a beautiful city. But it's very hilly and lots of old town with like cobblestone streets and stuff. I was walking on those, going up the hills, down the hills, on the cobblestone streets that are uneven, which nobody likes here. And it was great. I have to say, you know, I looked down at my phone at the end of those days, I'm like, 19,000 steps. Wow, that's pretty good. And I couldn't believe that I'd done that. Again, I was exhausted, but I did it. And so that's the way this year has been so far.
Good.
So
Just keep moving.
Thank you for sharing that,
I don't see Rich. Is Rich in the room? He had a remarkable year this year. Does he, Rich? No? Okay.
Joe. Yeah, I don't see Rich.
His picture's up here. You want to summarize a little bit of what he's...
Yeah, so Rich is one of our favorites here. Well, everybody's favorite, but Rich is one that, you know, MS has really, really challenged Rich to the point where he still cannot feed himself. We're working hard to get to the point where he can feed himself. During the pandemic, he lost a lot of mobility, a lot of, you know, just basically strength and stuff. But anyway, last week, and again, you can see how much effort it took just to sit up just to sit up with him and everything like that. And he's got the greatest spirit. I mean, he brings it with him every single day, and he works hard. And you know, to work hard to get just to be able to pick up a fork, and he works hard just to be able to sit up straight without assistance. Last week we had Dr. Jenny Bartoff, I think it is, that was here from University of Madison, and she gave a presentation, and the presentation was about 45 minutes long. And I looked back in the back where Rich was back there sitting with Tracy, and Rich was sitting up on the table all by himself. Tracy was sitting next to him, but he was sitting there all by himself. And I went back and he says, "It feels good." Yeah. So I guess, you know, the point I'm trying to make is, you know, Rich is a great example of no matter how bad your MS gets and how bad you think you may not be able to come back from it, or you can always make some kind of progress. And we see that day in and day out here with people. And again, we might not get them to the full mobility type of a thing, but when you look at, you know, the progress that they do make, it's instrumental, and it's different for everybody. So anyway, I just wanted to show Rich's
Wonderful. We hear it in other venues that also applies to MS. Even slow progress is progress. If this is the first time, your first time in the building, you may have thought when you walked into this room, this looks like a lot like a warehouse. Without being snarky, let me answer that. That's because it was, and it still is in part. This used to be the primary home, or one of the homes of Wisconsin Metal Parts Dance Company. It started with the one room out here, and it's grown over time, and we are now taking over this much of it. Part of what makes this possible are the people who work at Wisconsin Metal Parts. When you hire good people, when you treat them well, they deliver, they perform, they produce. And these are three core values that they have: purpose, pride, and passion, which results into one that isn't on the screen, and that's profitability. So when all of this is going on and you've got a captain or a CEO like Dan, it allows him to spend the time that he does with us, doing new things, checking new things, doing the research, spending time with people, and all of the rest. So when you see people who are from Wisconsin Metal Parts, or you drive by the building, you don't have to honk like we used to do out in the country, but be thankful for what's going on there. It's a wonderful organization, and their generosity helps us in many, many ways. You are ready to say something.
And I agree. I mean, the people at Wisconsin Metal Parts, they bend over backwards for me to be able to have the freedom to be able to work with this group here, because they know how important.
I know how important it is. Thanksgiving is a little ways away, but we're already thankful here, and I want you to see and hear these words.
I have been coming to gym about 6 months after it opened, and that was around 9 years ago. Once I stepped through the door, I've never stopped coming.
When we came here, it was like, it was new to me. And I wasn't in a good place until I found this gym. This place made it better for me. 100%.
Everybody here feels different when they walk in this door. Let's not kid ourselves. Everybody has something hidden. Some things are very obvious, some things are hidden, and those things are obstacles and challenges that are hard to overcome. But when you work, you leave your home at home, and when you work, you work. And here, you walk in the door and you see light, you see joy, you see a community, you see people that are fighting some of the biggest battles of their life, but they do it with a smile on their face, and they put their own aches and pains aside to do it together. There's a unity that comes with this and everyone here that I've never experienced before.
Very grateful for these people. When I heard about this place, I was pretty leery about coming. I thought, I don't think I can do that. I can't imagine going on this equipment. And when I came out here, these volunteers and Dan, they all just encouraged me.
When I first started coming, I was afraid to come in because I thought it was going to be depressing. I thought it was going to be sad to see how the progression could go, but it was actually just the opposite. So it is the happiest place, and I can't say more about it than that.
I was kind of depressed when I started with the EMS, and you can't be depressed and be here with all these wonderful people, volunteers and the EMS people as well.
That's another thing, is the social part of coming here is important. It's a big deal.
We can try to work out every day, though. That's good. It helps us. Unfortunately. No. I never was a person for working out prior. I was more on the eating. So now working out is fun to me. Who'd have thunk?
Joy. They bring smiles. They just tell us to get going. After they know us a little while, they'll say, come on now, keep going. Just keep moving.
Before I came here, I never knew anyone that had MS. So I walked in the door, and it was just automatically, I just felt welcomed.
I came here and wow, Dan's quite a guy, and I would say that what he does here is kind of
I don't want to get religious or anything, but it seems like it's an assignment for God, from God, for him.
How to make me feel. I feel grateful for their help. I mean, it's when it's needed, there's always someone that's available. It's
Wow, you know, gratitude, thankfulness, but I guess I feel lucky. I feel lucky that there's people out there that will pay it forward and selflessly give of their time and their effort and their talents to people that so need it. So we're lucky they chose us. We're lucky they found us.
It makes me feel like I will be able to do more and more as I work out, but it also makes me feel like, it makes me feel great that all these people care.
When I close my eyes at night or look up at the ceiling like most, but I thank God for these gifts that everyone's given. And it's a beautiful thing, and I love it, you know? I mean, this saved my life, I feel.
One big thank you for taking the time, caring enough to help us.
Thank you. This is the most amazing place. I posted on Facebook for the open house that if you want to see the real happiest place on earth, it's here. It's not in Florida.
First of all, I want to say the college students were really helping me big time.
Every single person that's done something here, they are blessed to be our blessings for what they do for us.
It's just, you feel grateful to everybody, all the volunteers that help us. And you're grateful for the help, and you're grateful for the conversation.
Well, you're going to make me teary-eyed already because I'm very grateful for these people.
I thank you, because you're helping more than just one person. You're helping a multitude of people.
I wanted to thank Dan for spearheading this effort, and all the people that have donated to make it possible to keep going with it have been awesome. So thank you.
The ability to just keep moving.
Nice ending, Marlene.
So those of you who are wearing light blue today, you are the Friends with MS. Those of us wearing charcoal today, caregivers, volunteers, I'd like for you to stand if you're able, and we're going to turn that way and we're going to say, we thank you. You can't see me, so I'll count down in a minute. Give me a second to stand. You can't just turn in your chair, that works. All right, are we ready? We thank you. I'll count down. 3, 2, 1. We thank you.
All right, one more time. Al missed it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
We thank you.
Can I say something just before you guys start?
Sure.
All right.
Always.
Where's Rick? Rick, come on up here.
Everybody look at Rick.
Stand up, Rick. Stand up, Rick.
Come on, Rick. You can do it, good boy.
So Rick wrote the words for this little ditty that we're going to perform here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I challenged the people. We like to tap into the gifts that we have in the room, and the gifts from all different directions, all different ways, and we like to tap into that. So I kind of asked the group, do we have anybody that can write a song? Maybe we should write a song about living with MS. And sure, Rick actually says, yeah, I can write a song. So Rick actually wrote this song. Joel and some buddies put some music to the song. And Joel volunteered to sing it to us.
Yes.
So this is really from the MS heart, and it really is about living with MS.
Yep. And I'd like to thank the other Dan in my life, Dan Wiebe here, who is plays guitar and plays bass in one of the bands that I'm in, and he helped as far as like arranging and coming up with the the structure of the song, and the two of us worked on it as far as that goes. Yeah. He is going. All right.
We hope you enjoy it.
That was a pretty quick response.
We're used to this kind of thing. It's like feedback. Well.
So this is a gift from, again, Rick and Joel and to everybody here with MS and all the families with MS.
Hey, hello. I think that's sounding pretty good. Okay. That was our sound check. Okay. Sure.
By the way, this is an original.
It is. So we're not following anybody's footprints on this thing.
And this is a debut.
Right. Okay, so. If only I could go back to when life was easier, moving free, not worrying about what's to be. But that's before I'm the person that you see today. I will battle, I will fight, I will beat MS by inch and step by step, moving toward the goal. I'll win this battle, this challenge I face. I'll win this MS war. If only my family knew what they truly mean to me. I act now so differently than how I used to be. But my love for you though, it still remains the same. We will battle, we will fight, we will beat MS. Pushing forward, on we'll go. Nothing can hold us down. We'll win this battle, this challenge we face. We'll win this MS war. If only you knew the person that you see, you look beyond the disability and see who I can be. Take the time and learn about the true me. Join the battle, join the fight. We will beat MS inch by inch and step by step, moving toward the goal. I'll win this battle, this challenge I face. I'll win this MS war. Pushing forward, on we'll go. Nothing can hold us down. We'll win this battle, this challenge we face. We'll win this MS war. We have got to win this MS war.
Well done.
Who heard the premiere? Mark this date down. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
You make my eyes leak.
This is a truth. It's a perspective, it's a value, it's a goal. We've got to win this MS war. When I saw that phrase for the first time a few days ago, I, in my mind, wrote next to it the same thing I write in the margins of books I read, where I think, yes, but how? I write why, B-H. How? How are we going to do that? I'll give you a hint. It might be that we are able to use your skill. It might be part of the solution is your support, whether it's monthly or one-time or planned giving. It might be you have time that you can contribute to make this possible. I want to talk to you just a little bit about that, because especially if this is your first or second time here and you're thinking, this is remarkable, but I don't need to tell you, we use new and existing research here at MS Just Keep Moving. We use good judgment, we take appropriate precautions, and then we put that research to use. That newbie that's back here, the customized equipment, the nutrition training we do, the massages, the physical therapy, and a new thing we're thinking about, it's on our wish list now, blood flow restriction therapy. It's a real thing and it has value. Nate, where are you? Here he comes, okay? Dan has a mic for you. And I'm gonna give you this clicker. Maybe.
So I did have a few people ask me already today, what is blood therapy, blood flow, what do you think?
Hello everyone, my name is Nate Sorum. I'm a physical therapist. I have a clinic nearby here. And just before I start talking about blood flow restriction, I'm a rather recent volunteer around here, and Laura is a person that I've known for a long time. And just how much strength Laura exudes. I don't look at her and see anybody who's weakened by MS. I see an incredibly strong person who's been a great benefit to my life too. So Laura and I have always tried whatever thing we can find in research or here around town that can help her do better with MS. And then blood flow restriction is something that's been getting more popular with PT for a lot of different types of injuries, from sports injuries to after surgeries. But then it was cool, just as I'm learning more about that, to some of the specific studies related to MS. So that's what I'm looking to do more of with the gym here, and Dan and I are looking to figure out how we can make this as accessible as possible and effective and cost effective as possible for everyone. And education, yeah. So I'm gonna give you a real brief overview of it in 3 minutes here, but basically with a blood pressure cuff, similar to that, over the limb that you're exercising, it restricts the incoming and outgoing blood flow to the limb, and it basically creates the environment that would be present with high intensity exercise, but that's not necessary because we're kind of trapping the metabolites. Everyone knows about lactic acid when you exercise. So we're trapping that in the limb so that your body thinks you're working a lot harder than you are. And so you get some really cool adaptations that are very close to high intensity exercise that's often not possible when you're dealing with MS symptoms. And this is nothing new. This has been around since 1966. It's called Katsu training. It was developed in Japan, and then over the last 10 years or so, there's been more studies in the medical research, and there's some Marquette folks here who could, there's a lot of interesting studies going on with blood flow restrictions, to say the least. Okay. So there's two really exciting applications for this. One's for strengthening. So usually if you want to get big muscles, you got to lift heavy weights. And if you're not able to lift heavy weights, sorry, you can't get big muscles. And it's just the way it works. So for the blood flow restriction, you put the cuff on there and you only have to have around 20% of your 1 rep max. Don't worry about what that means. It just means a very lightweight that you do a lot of times, and it'll still be really difficult, but you don't need to have, a heavy weight that would be more like 65 to 80% of your 1 rep max. So it's like cheating, for getting strong. And then also for cardiovascular endurance, There's studies where I'll just give you a real quick overview of one, where they have it on both legs. They're on a stationary bike. They're going at about, I think, moderate intensity, so nothing crazy, and they're doing that for 15 minutes. They have another group who doesn't have the blood flow restriction cuffs on, and they're doing the same thing at the moderate intensity for 45 minutes. Which group do you think gets better outcomes? The blood flow restriction group. And even for muscle gains and just things that are real interesting, and it's not like there's 50 years worth of proven science behind this. All these are kind of emerging research topics, but it's very exciting and promising. So if you are on the mailing list that gets sent out, you'll be hearing more about this. If you're not, talk to Dan about getting on the mailing list. Otherwise, I'll be around here today. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But thank you very much.
When we talk about research, I mean, we really need to continue to support the research that's going on out there as a group, as a family. And what we like to do at AMS Just Keep Moving, Jim, here is we like to take that research and put it to use consistently with people. So,
good. There is a study that's currently going, and if you've ridden on bike rides on Friday morning, you maybe know Kate already, but Kate is working on one. Let me make sure I have this. There we go. Tell us a little bit about what you're working on and who you're looking for.
Hi everybody, I am Kate. I've had the pleasure of knowing a lot of you through the bike rides, and thanks for the nice intro. So I'm at Marquette University, and we are currently enrolling for a few studies on campus. I'll make this pretty brief, but we're just looking for individuals to participate in research. There's a lot of people here with MS that have already participated in the research in our lab, which is amazing, and we thank you. However, there's a lot of people that we need to include who don't have MS. So for research, for those who might not know, we have to compare the results from people with MS compared to those without MS in order to really understand those differences. So there's a lot of folks here without MS, and this is just another one of those ways to support people who you love with MS. Helping participate in research only helps further our results and make those results more definitive and trustworthy. So we will be standing over here. If Dr. Ng wants to raise his hand, we have a poster. If you want to come take a look, and flyers, and also a sign-up sheet. If people want to come share their name with us and their contact, we can tell them more about the research that we're doing. And there's also some dance programming that Dr. Ng is putting together as well that he'd be happy to tell you about. So, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kate.
Kate is one of our volunteers who comes here to the gym and volunteers, and she also rides Friday morning bike rides with us and helps us stop traffic and pedal bikes around and take a train basically, and keeps people moving. So.
Yes. So it might be a skill that you have, it might support. I'm not going to camp out here a very long time, but I do want to let you know that if you go to the website and you look for the button that looks like that, you can donate, and it comes here, and we use it. We're pretty judicious about how we treat the money that comes in. There's a giving table, is it right over here? Where you can stop by and see there are ways to, it's a little bit of information there. There's some information in the booklet that you have. All right, and I want to remind you, because people forget about this but we're approaching the end of the year. Maybe there's something that you can do at work. If there's a matching gifts program, a lot of times you enroll late this year for next year. That might be something that you want to consider, all right? But one of the things that I look at, and I'm here a lot, one of the things that would just throw the gate open for this place would be for those of you who are thinking right now, but I have more time than money. And I want to say to you, that is valuable. Your time is really valuable. You might think about volunteering here. Let me walk you through the math. Okay, this is going to be super simple because in a previous life I was a musician and we count to 4 and then we start over. In 2022, the national declared value of an hour volunteered was $29.95. If you were here for 3 hours on a Wednesday or a Friday, and maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes before and after getting set up and all of the rest, you multiply that 3.4 hours by the value of an hour volunteered. Even I can do this math. That's just a little over $100 worth of value you've placed on the table, you've placed in the gym for these folks, their families, and that sort of thing. So if you did that twice a week, for 50 weeks out of the year, do the math. That's $10,000 worth of let me help you with an investment of time. Bring your smiles with you, of course. Bring cheer with you, all that sort of thing. It's pretty important. It's valuable, that time. If you're thinking about it, it is worth it. I asked some of our key volunteers here the last couple of weeks, it takes about 6 or 7 hours, 6 or 7 volunteers to help a Wednesday go well or a Friday go well. 8 would be better. We can do it with 5, but that 6 or 7, 8 would be pretty sweet. If we had people who came just once a week, we could do what we do now with 14, 15, 16 volunteers. But guess what? We have special events we want to do. We have equipment upkeep. We have one doing it now. We need more. We have a clean and orderly team that's developing. We have an anti-germ team of one that I know of who comes in, grabs a spray bottle and rag and just makes sure that everything's disinfected. What if it was 4 people or 5 people? And there's the biking and the dance and the yoga and the teaching says we need additional volunteers. So if you're thinking about it, think about it seriously. Right now, we are open on Wednesdays and Fridays. If we had the volunteers, it's a dream here to open up on Monday as well. And if we have enough volunteers, it'd be great to open on Saturday for people who have MS but are working Monday through Friday. Add that up, it's about 30 people, give or take. We have got to win this MS war. And you as volunteer might have a key role to play in that. So ask yourself, can you help? If you can, or you're thinking about it, there's a Tell Me More table over here where you can sign up. You're not signing a mortgage, you're not buying a car, you're saying tell me more, and based on whoever's here, we'll help, signs up, we'll figure out how to do that. Here are some things that are on the mix, or in the mix for 2023. We want to expand our services and the opportunities we have here. That indoor triathlon that Dan was talking about is April 1st, the Saturday before Easter. Not the Saturday, but a week and a day before Easter.
And who would have thought an indoor triathlon would turn into a room full of people like this? It's just absolutely amazing to me. So, yeah.
The golf scramble is going to be in June. Caregivers Retreat is going to be on June 10th. It's a Saturday retreat at a very quiet place where you can breathe and inhale, and you'll eat first that day, all right? The MS bike ride for the National MS Society. By the way, Peppy Peddlers, our team crossed the $1 million mark this year. 16 years.
And that's thanks to everybody who donated and everybody who rode with us for the last 16 years. That's absolutely amazing. And, right, Rob? Right on, man.
We'd like to go 3 days, maybe 4 next year. There's the Day of Endurance that Dan described on August 26th. There are things in the wish list. There's a chart right over here that has some. I'm just going to show you pictures in case it's too crowded over there to give by. This is a wheelchair where you use this kind of motion to work. This is a device where a person on an e-bike can carry someone in front who normally rides in a wheelchair. This is exercise you do. This is a combination elliptical something. Anyway, it's been on our list. It was on our list last year and this year. And then there's the blood flow restriction and the enhanced trailer for the Just Keep Moving trikes. so that we can, so they last longer, basically.
Another
and
big
they're
thing
easy to
that
get
is
to.
in the program, but it's not on here, is that we'd really like to get an electric door for the front so that people with wheelchairs can come in and out. And we actually want it to be like an enclosed door that it's kind of a weather barrier as well.
So I said today when I stood up here, this is going to be the fastest 57 minutes of their weeks. I was wrong. But anyway, I want you to take the time, don't rush off, all right? We'd like for you to find out more about what's going on. So to remind you, the friends who have MS are wearing light blue. We who are caregivers and volunteers are wearing charcoal. We have lots of smiles. We have lots of answers. Some of us, you get the wrong one. If we don't know the answer, we'll make something up. Figure that out. But we do have encouraging words, and we want you to not just dash off. Please hang with us for a while. We are so glad that you came today. And those who are thinking about giving, we thank you in advance. Those who have been giving, one more time, we thank you. So glad you came today.
Just a few things that I know we're over. I hope you guys are patient enough to just kind of hang with me for just a few more minutes. I'll try to keep it together, and I'll also try to keep it short. But I want to thank maybe I won't keep it together. I want to thank my parents, and my mom's back here. You can stand up. You can raise your hand. That's my mom. And I want to thank them for the values that they raised me with as a child. I want to thank my wife, who really makes me who I am, and she's kind of the behind-the-scenes person of pretty much everything that we're doing here. She keeps me in, I guess, on a real track, I guess. So I kind of live life without a lot of boundaries, and society has a lot more boundaries than I have, so she kind of brings me back to the boundaries. and I really appreciate that. I need that. The family, and not only our family, but the love and support that all the families give, all the people with MS. I mean, to me, that's a powerful thing. Again, it's all of our families. Our friends, I mean, the friends that we have here, this room is full of friends, and our life is actually full of friends. And I'm thankful for them. And the volunteers, I mean, they just give selflessly. I mean, when we asked for somebody to clean, there was a whole bunch of people to clean. When we asked to do pretty much anything we asked to do, people just show up. If we ask them to write a song, guess what? They write a song. And they want to sing them, they sing a song. And again, I would just throw one more plug out for the Wisconsin Mental Parts employees, because if they didn't do what they did and help all of us here free my time up to be able to do what I do, I think. And then the community partners. There's a lot of community partners that are, basically maybe almost taken for granted, but we really do appreciate any of the community partners that help us be able to do what we need to do. And obviously the donors. The donors, again, we do need some finances in order to be able to do what we do. Everything we do here, we do for free. And there are no wages taken out of anything that we do. We do hire services. We do hire Ricky for the massage service, and we hire the nutritionist and things like that, and we also fund programs. But we don't, this is all volunteer. And that, I think, is a really different thing in society, and I thank the volunteers for making this possible. And last but not least, this isn't my plan. This isn't our plan. We got a much bigger power bringing us all together. I mean, all of us are in this room for a reason that we may not know what it is. And, God's bringing us all together for reasons that are much greater than MS. And got to thank God for that. All right, I made it through it. We're done. Have fun.